What's going on, guys? Jack here, also known as Marley G. Today, we're going to be having a look into this track, which is my first track for Project 2. And this track is called Genesis, and yeah, I mean, it's pretty much finished at this point, so I'll just give you a little preview of the kind of build-up section.
Genesis.
So yeah, if you watch my previous video, you can tell this track's come quite a fair way in that time. I'll just run you through some of the things that I've added. So this layer is pretty subtle, but it's just a reversed kick to kind of lead into that first kick hit. So if I show you the two together. Just for a bit of extra tension there. Other things, most of the stuff is the same. Yeah, so this sample.
Genesis.
I'll talk a little bit about like sample digging, that sort of stuff. Sometimes I feel like you've got to just like keep it simple, but it really just depends like what kind of vibe you're going for. I'd say keeping it simple is probably the best way to go about it. Like this sample was just from I just found it on YouTube. Like it was for a Bible reading, I'm pretty sure. Like the first chapter, Genesis. And then so I just sampled that, brought it into Ableton, EQ'd out the low end so that it doesn't like clutter up with anything else. It sounds fine, like you don't need the low end for it to sound like
Genesis.
Still sound really fat. Reducing the ambience, that was just to get rid of like extra noise from the video in the background. OTT to crunch it. Bit reduction, that gives it even more crunch. This is a phaser, I'm pretty sure, or a chorus, I can't remember which one, but that also just gives it like kind of a washy effect. It's pretty cool. And then a bunch of shit going on in this audio effect rack, which is a bit embarrassing, but basically the point of that is to give a few more effects and stuff in the build up and breakdown phases and stuff like that. Like there's like this, which is the main kind of delay that I use in the build up. So like I'll show you. So that's this grain delay working there. That kind of rising and then it goes. So it goes up and then down just to give it a bit of variation. Thought it would sound pretty cool. And then the last one has nothing on it, and then it goes into the chorus. So to show you in context.
Genesis.
And yeah, the frequency of them dies down in the chorus. And then, so after that, I just chucked in a noise layer, like a really short one. I really like having that as a tension release sort of aspect in a track. I think it worked really well on my second track. which if you remember that in that first video had like that noise layer that worked really well. Another sound design element, which is quite simple. I think it's not even my sound, but it's, so this is just from a preset pack, but I put an arpeggiator on it just to kind of turn it into something a little bit different, make it a bit cooler sounding. In the in like the different sections of the song, and has different effects on it, as you can see down here. Like there's an auto filter on it here, which gives it like a completely different characteristic altogether. But yeah, so that's one of them. So in context, like you would have heard it already, but pretty cool. And then we've got these last two little layers here. So this originally was meant to, I'm just going to save this really quickly. This was originally meant to kind of like stand out and be super prominent within the mix, but the way that it kind of turned out, I'll show you in a bit of context. I think it sounds best here. It ended up really kind of supporting the percussion in a way that I didn't really expect. And that wasn't necessarily a bad thing. I ended up just making like another sound to kind of fill the shoes of what I wanted this sound to be in the end. Just, yeah, with it being compressed so heavily to the kick drum, it ended up just having a bit more groove, and that ended up being really awesome with what I wanted it to be. So yeah, you can hear it in there. It's a great little element. I'm really happy with that. And then the last one that I added in, was this sound here, which, I mean, I just think it sounds pretty fucking awesome. Again, I think this was a preset in Serum that I fucked with like quite a lot to get the sound that I wanted. So it just had like the bare bones there already, and then I just kind of added a shit ton of effects and like modulation and shit and noise. And then at the very end of that, I added an arpeggiator to give it that sound. So I'll show you what it sounds like without the arpeggiator on. It's like completely different. So that arpeggiator really gave it the characteristics that I wanted. And yeah, so it's like a nice little call and response, this layer and this layer. So like, it's like they're talking to each other, like two robots kind of having a conversation. I thought it was pretty awesome. Might just be me, but yeah, so that's what it's sounding like at the moment. And yeah, I'm unbelievably stoked with how it all turned out. I didn't really think I would make something like this, and I've been getting really, really great feedback from my peers and my friends on it. So hopefully this song will be released in some form within the next couple of weeks. But I'll keep you posted, and yeah, so I guess we'll just jump into the next track now. Okay, cool. So this is the second track for Project 2. And again, I haven't put as much work into this one as the other one, as Genesis, just because I don't know, I think I got very attached to Genesis. I'm not entirely sure whether I'll release this even. But we'll see what happens. I am kind of liking how it's sounding at the moment. It does sound pretty cool. It definitely just needs a lot of work. So this is York, and so I'll play you what I've got so far. So yeah, other than the last video, I mean, if you're not familiar with this song, I'd recommend looking at the previous project review or reflection, whatever you want to call it, project update. That's the one. Just because that gives a lot more background onto how the song kind of came to be and what it was looking like. So I just again got a sample off YouTube. I didn't do too much to it other than obviously I did a similar thing with bit reduction, EQ'd out a ton of low ends, reduced ambience like the other one as well, just to get rid of that noise in the background. And then everything else is more just kind of other effects and that sort of cool stuff. This little thing here was the result of beat warping, which you can't really see how I did it anymore because I consolidated it, which is a little bit annoying, but the way it works is it kind of just stretches it out and just plays little individual sections of the beat, rather than trying to stretch it all out into one big thing. It just kind of picks little bits, and that's how I got that thing, which I thought was pretty fucking cool. Oh, you can see it here actually. So I've got it on beats and preserve half beats, and the transient loop, which is just transient loop forward, or I think that's off. Maybe. Yeah, I think that's off. So basically each segment plays to the end and then stops, and so this, while it looks like a whole sample, is actually this, or I guess like that. So that and this and that are actually the same thing. This just hasn't been consolidated, so you can't actually see the effects in place. But yeah, all it is half preserve beats, because often Ableton defaults to transients, and sometimes when you slow shit down, it makes it sound kind of goofy and weird. But this way, you get the super cool effects that you hear it anywhere. If you listen to Marla, he does it a lot with those gospel vocals and shit. Yeah, just keep an eye out for it, and you hear it fucking everywhere. Yeah, that's pretty much all I've added. Again, haven't really spent that much time on this song. I'd say it's pretty close to done, although at this rate I'm not sure if I even want to release it. I don't know how happy I am with it as a whole. So yeah, I guess the mitigation strategy there is just to work towards releasing the project, or the EP as a single, and then just saving this one or continuing to work on this one at a later date, just to make sure it's not complete trash, because at this point there's a lot more I think I'd want to do to it before I consider releasing it. But yeah, so anyway, I hope you enjoyed this little run through of what stuff I'm working on, and how Project 2 has kind of evolved and come together. again, if you have any questions, just shoot me a message or a comment, and I'm sure I'll get around to responding to you. But yeah, thanks again for watching. Hope you have a fucking awesome day, and I'll see you guys next time.